Isn't it just perfect when the rain affects your plans for the day? Welcome back to yet another video. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's so good to see you all again. And if you're new around here, maybe consider subscribing. In today's lesson, we're going to check out the second serve and how to properly brush the ball for a bit of kick. As always, let's make sure we've got the right grip before we start doing anything. So the grip that we're going to be working on is the Continental grip. Now there's another grip that I use, and I just call it the Super Spin grip. This is the grip that I personally use, which is slightly more round than the Continental grip. Continental grip is hand straight on the top with a little bit of a gap in between, and the grip I use is slightly more round or in towards yourself. That way I can develop a lot more spin brushing under and up the back of the ball. But I wouldn't recommend using this one first time. Try that after a few times with the Continental grip, if you really want to give it a go. Now for the stance, we want to make sure that we're side on with our front toe, so the closest to the line, facing a little bit more into the court. The reason for this is that way when we finish our serve, we can easily flow and come forward into the open court. Learning the second serve can be quite hard, especially if you've never practiced any first serves properly. I recommend going and practicing as much as you can with the first serve, building up your wrist strength a little bit more in that pronation motion, and then after a few months, come back and work on the second serve, because second serve requires a lot of wrist strength. In saying that, today's lesson, we're checking out the second serve, and I'm going to give you a few tips and tricks to help you with learning that brushing motion so you can get more height over the net so you don't hit the net, and plenty of spin on the ball so it dips back in before it goes out. Now for the technique. It's very important for the kick serve or second serve that we're developing a lot of height and spin on the ball. Now, the reason for this, we want to get height so we stay the hell away from the net. We do not want to hit the net. So to do that, we need to hit the ball much higher. Now, if you watch any professional second serve, they hit the ball quite high out of their racket. Try and get court level view of their second serve action and their ball after it hits the racket, and you'll notice that it goes up out of their strings before it comes back down into the court. So you're going for height. So getting under the ball, brushing up is key. Then the second thing, if we hit it so high, isn't that just gonna go out? Well, that's right, if you don't put spin on the ball. This is my little rhyme. Spin makes the ball go in. So what you want to make sure that you do is you're getting that height on the ball, but you're also developing a lot of spin on it so it makes the ball dip back in before it goes past the service line. So it's very important that if I get the ball toss right, I can get height and make that ball dip back in before it goes past the service line. So here's a couple of quick tips that can help develop that brushing action for the second serve. I don't think we're playing any tennis today. That's okay. For these couple of tips, you don't need the tennis court. You can actually do them at home with just yourself, a ball and a racket. So what you're going to do is get yourself a ball. I find a bigger ball helps the best. You can do it with a smaller ball, but it's a little bit harder to control. So what you want to do is ball behind your head, and you want to put your racket on top of the ball and keep a bit of pressure onto it, and try not to donk yourself in the head. Ball there, and keep a bit of pressure so it stays there. And what you're going to work on here is just rolling the ball up and down, up and down. It's only a very slight motion, but that slight motion just there in your wrist, just as so, is going to build up that wrist strength so that when you do actually come out and hit the tennis ball properly, you can really give it a lot more juice in that brushing motion. I don't want to hit the roof here. Try to do that as much as you can and build up that wrist strength. Yes, your wrist will get tired and sore after a while, probably not too long if you haven't been doing this at all. So just build up that wrist strength every day, little bit by little bit. Once you've built up that wrist strength a little bit more, you can come onto the court and try to brush that ball over a bit more and see how it goes. Then the second tip, and I hope you enjoy this because I'm getting soaked here, is brushing the ball with your palm. All you're wanting to do is brush the ball on the front of your palm, I should say, not the back, and just so from getting from down low and brushing the ball up Now, when you're on the tennis court or you've got a bit of space in your backyard or something, don't do it inside your home. I don't want to be responsible for any damage. What you're going to do is you're going to brush the ball and make it go as high as you possibly can out of your hand. Okay, just as so. Up high. The progression to this activity is using the wrist a little bit more at the end, where you arc around a little bit more so that you can really brush the ball and come around with the wrist and finish. You'll see a lot of the professional players. Ben Shelton's are really good to check out with his pronation. Well, pronation on the second serve, not really pronation. It's coming through a bit, but it's more so the wrist arcing over. So just have a look, particularly after he contacts the ball, how his wrist moves around. Just check that out. But what we're going to work on here first is just brushing up the back of the ball. And if you want to move on to the progression, after doing this activity for a few times, just brushing first, then the progression is to come around a little bit more. Now work on these couple of techniques with brushing the ball in your own time as much as you possibly can. That way you can build up that wrist strength, then come onto the tennis court and give that second serve brushing action a proper try. Now making sure that when you do it, it's all about brushing up the back of the ball, trying to get as much height as possible so you can dip the ball in. One last bit of bonus advice for you is when you do come onto the court and hit the ball and try to go get the ball in, don't try and get the ball in. My tip for you, this is the bonus one, is try to get it over the back fence. But my one condition is you're not allowed to open up your string face. You're not allowed to face your strings up to the sky. You've got to keep your string face flat on the ball, okay? So try to get the ball over the back fence with as much spin as possible, and you'll find that you'll start to develop a good second serve. Nothing happens magically. You got to practice it frequently. Now, if you like this video and got something out of it, please consider liking and subscribing. And I hope to catch you in the next episode. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, let's give this a go, hey? Whew, not bad. Maybe I still got it a little bit. Nope, not that one. Nope, not that one. Nope. My goodness. Do you struggle with the ball toss too? Maybe I should do a lesson on that. Just kidding, that doesn't work. Sorry. Why am I saying sorry to? There's nobody here. Except for you, of course. What are you still doing here? Lesson's over. Go home. Courts are too wet.